Well, good afternoon and welcome to St Mary's Stadium. We are here in the Golden West. The sun is certainly not gold today, though. There is plenty of rain out and about. James Preston here with you in commentary, and joining me is from the Country Rugby League, Dave Wall. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm really well, James. Thank you. We've just watched as the national anthems kick off. We just watched the game a moment ago, which was fairly comfortable. We'll see how this one pans out.
It was indeed a bit of a demolition. Turkey certainly putting on the pain for Japan. But this one looks to be a really enticing fixture here. It is, of course, Hong Kong taking on Poland. We'll quickly run through the Hong Kong sheet here for you right now. Or in fact, we'll just let this anthem play for just a moment. Well, there are some very proud players on the pitch right now, of course. The Polish side is in the white and red. Hong Kong in the blue and red. We'll quickly run through the team list for you. For Hong Kong, it is an absolute jumble in terms of the numbers here, so bear with us. The fullback wearing 15 is Matt Waugh. On the wings, number 2, Mike Sang, and also number 5, Alvin Chan. In the centres, wearing 26 and 13 respectively, Reece Johnson and Jason Farley. The halves is the captain, Ringo Lung. How good is that name? And the number 7, Gus Spence, who'll be playing halfback. Up front, starting at least anyway, number 10, Ben Ryan, and the 14, Jack Nielsen. The hooker is Craig McCormick. And in the second row, it's Richard Lindsay wearing 17, Jason Yip in 12, and the lock forward is Alan Newsom. We'll go through the bench in just a moment's time, but let's have a look at the Polish lineup.
At fullback, we've got a familiar rugby league name in Ethan Niscott. On the wings are Robert McAtee, I think it is, and my apologies for that, and Michael Maslanka. The centres are Evan Artsy and Simon Maslanka. In the halves, Jonah Metaangu and Harry Syker, another familiar rugby league name. As we're about to kick off now, we'll go through the rest of the players in a moment.
Yeah, we're certainly set for a fantastic match here. It is very wet conditions, but that didn't stop all the action in the previous fixture. There was plenty of points involved in it. Hoping for a closer one, though, in this one, Dave.
Yeah, well, there was a bit of a blowout in the last one, which was a little bit disappointing, but we'll see how they go.
And Hong Kong get us underway, and that'll come nicely down here, around about 10 metres out for the Polish side, and they'll go for a regulation hit up to start with. That is the number 10, Kolodzic, and he's caught around about 22 metres out from his own line. Slow play the ball here. Wurtzak, he goes to the right-hand side of the field. It's another good, strong hit up here. So they're getting good territory early in this set. 32 metres out on tackle number 2. Wurtzak goes back to the middle, and that's another strong charge. It takes 4 Japanese, in fact, Hong Kong defenders, should I say. Japan was the previous game. A couple of them in there, including the number 14. That was Jack Nielsen, who's getting a start here for Hong Kong. They'll work it up over halfway now, the Polish side. good metres in this first set. Still another play up the sleeve too. Wurtzak goes to Sajka. He decides to shoot it for the heavens. That's going to take some catching indeed. They put a name on it, and well done in the end. It's taken by Gus Spence, Dave.
Yeah, good take there, and that was a good set by Poland. Willie Mason anyway tips them for big things in the tournament. We'll see how they go physically. Again, they look like a big team. Very much like Turkey in the last game, whereas they're probably a little more evenly matched in terms of size. The Hong Kong look a little bit bigger than what Japan ran out with, but let's hope that their size matches their ability.
Well, perhaps it's something to do with the white and red, because of course Turkey wearing the white and red, they look nice and big.
They did.
As did the Polish side, as Hong Kong get a penalty here. That'll certainly help things out. So that one was just holding on a bit too long in the play the ball, a bit too much of infringement in there. There's a tiny little halfback, Gus Spence.
He certainly is.
But he does find the sideline here. So it's a chance for Hong Kong to put first points in this match. Of course, if you're just joining us, they are in the blue and red. Poland wearing the white and red here. And this is live from St Mary's Stadium, all thanks to Bar TV Sports here. Wonderful stuff. Of course, this is the Emerging Nations Rugby League World Championship. It is a wonderful, wonderful event. We're hoping to spread rugby league far across the globe. Speaking of spreading rugby league far and wide, Dave, of course, you're working with Country Rugby League.
Yeah,
how are you seeing the scene at the moment in terms of Country Rugby League?
Oh, look, contrary to popular belief, the numbers are actually terrific, and we've obviously started in the last couple of years, which was long overdue, the advent of ladies' participation in both ladies' league tag and now ladies' tackles more recently, and both tournaments or both competitions are going gangbusters.
Fantastic to hear as they go on the attack here, Hong Kong. It's Gus Spence turning it back on the inside for Ryan, who is smashed. That's a nice shot just from the side. Here's McMurrich. He goes away to Spence once again. He's active, this halfback in the red headgear, and that ball will go to ground, but they've done well to maintain it. Of course, very slippery conditions out here at St Mary's. Spence waiting for it. He is first receiver, and it comes his way. Decides to put in a little grubber. He'll bounce up on its point, and in the end, that's pretty easy work for Meta Ungaro. He comes away, and he's caught it about 10 metres out, but they're all offside. That's a real pressure release there, Dave.
Well, it is, but Spence was the halfback, and he made the tackle. He was also the player who kicked it. So I'm not really sure how the referee came up with that one, but in any case, that's where we're at.
Well, there are a fair few pairs of black boots out there. Potentially he's got the wrong boots. Spence, of course, is wearing them. A couple other players are too. As Poland come away with the ball now. And they'll work it to the centre of the field through their number 13. That's Balintsinki. He keeps going here. Nearly brought to ground, but he showed good strength to keep going, and McMurrich had to come over the top to stop him. And work it up now through Usher. And Usher looking to get the hand free. He can do exactly that. Works it away here to Wurtzak, who's been very busy to start this match. Spins out of one tackle and keeps going, Liam Fulton style. And there'll be another penalty here. Holding down in the play the ball, which is kind of a bizarre calling because I didn't think he was actually held at that point in time.
I've probably got to agree with you there too. I'm loath to be critical of referees, but I think you got that one wrong too. That said, you've just got to roll with it. They're now going to have first real opportunity. Poland at Hong Kong's line, 20 metres out.
Excellent field position indeed as Sajka finds the touchline. Pretty slow to get up and actually take this tap though. You'd think they want to get on with things here given they are in a fantastic position. Wurtzak will finally do that. And they'll go back to the middle of the field. Good contact put there on Kolodzic. He's caught inside the 10 metre zone though. Wurtzak back toward the middle. It'll come to Sajka. Sajka offers it away to Usher. And Usher is caught just past the 10 metre line. So they're still in good field position here, middle of the field for that matter. And they'll say that they've dropped the ball.
Yeah, let off for Hong Kong there. That was a real good opportunity. So I could go and swing around to the left there, and they had the numbers. They didn't get the opportunity to drop.
They certainly did have numbers, and they were all fanned out quite nicely to the left there. I mean, Evan Artsey certainly looked like he was looking for a big run. He's quite a big centre, isn't he, Dave?
He is indeed, and we had a big centre in the last game too. We had a pretty fair game of football, so if he goes as well as he did, Hong Kong might be in some trouble.
Could indeed be. Here is Spence feeding the scrum. He'll win it. And they'll come away to the left-hand side of the field now, Hong Kong. That's through the number 15, Matt Waugh. He's doing some good stuff. And joining me here is none other than Frankie Pritchard. Frank, how are you doing, mate? Fantastic to meet you. Beautiful stuff. Now, of course, this is an awesome occasion. We're celebrating rugby league on a grand stage. Fantastic for the culture of the game itself. Sure, yeah. How have you enjoyed the day so far?
Yeah, mate. It's pretty cold out there. Feel sorry for the boys out there playing, but yeah, other than that, man, it's awesome to get out here and watch the Emerging Nations.
So what are you hoping to get from this event itself?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of blokes that put their hand up to come and play. So I see out there the Poland team are playing with Harisaki, so they're all trying their best to get them through to the World Cup. So, it's a tough event. There's a lot of teams out there, so, all the best to them.
Now, Frankie, what are you doing with yourself these days? Of course, you've had a fantastic career in the NRL. What are you keeping busy with at the moment?
Yeah, I'm coaching the Tour Samoa team, the 18s, and I'm manager of the first grade team as well. So, I'm busy there, and I just do a bit of work with the community, with the youth and that as well. So I work with troubled teens here and there, and that's what's keeping me busy. And I come out here to support my mate. He's playing in the Turkish team, so Jensen Turgut. He's all the way from the UK, and I come out here to show some support for him. Yeah.
Well, he certainly did a fantastic job. I mean, they put up quite a score against Japan. Who do you pick for this one, though? Hong Kong and Poland?
Yeah, I can't go past my mate Harry. Yeah, so I'll support Poland, but both of them, if they toss up a good game and have a fair game, would be good. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Frank, thank you so much for coming and having a bit of a chat, and hopefully we can catch up with you a bit later in the match as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Frankie Pritchard. Beautiful stuff. Of course, we are back live now with the action here. Hong Kong and Poland. It's Poland on the attack. Around about 5 metres away. Sajka will look to the left. Steps off his left for that matter. There's Frankie Pritchard's man. He's still going. A nice cutout pass over the top. There's a bit of space toward the right-hand side, and they'll go in. Brilliant stuff. There it is, Frankie. How about that, mate? How good's that? Frankie Pritchard is going nuts behind me. Awesome stuff. Harry Sajka, the ball over the top, and they'll get the try. Dave, how about that?
Yeah, that was nice. He had a lot of football with the Penrith club early in his career, Harry, and he certainly looks the part at the moment. I'm not sure whether he ended up playing NRL. If he didn't, he was very close.
He certainly did, and he was quite good in his little stint that he had there, and then of course going over to the Super League for a couple of years too.
Yeah, he certainly looks the part at the moment, and big raps on him as a kid. He probably didn't quite come to fruition, but all hope is not lost for him yet. He's playing with Dapto at the moment, and certainly has started this game with a bang.
Certainly has, and of course that was Simon Maslanka who went in on the right-hand side. That's one try for one of the brothers. We'll wait to see if the other brother can get across the line too, and Sajka will now line up this kick. He's probably only about 2 metres in from the right-hand touchline, roughly 25 metres back, and just on Harry Sajka as well. Don't know if you know this one, Dave, but he actually signed one of the most lucrative contracts when he was 16 years old, 3-year deal for $75,000.
No, I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me. I remember there was big raps on him as a kid. So whilst I didn't know it, it doesn't surprise me either.
He's had a decent effort there, but it's just gone to the right-hand side of the uprights, so the score will remain 4 points to nil. We've had just under 9 minutes of play here, 31:40 still on the clock in this first half. Conditions still not fantastic here. There's a bunch of rain coming across the ground, almost like sleet in a sense that it's that thick, very, very wet rain. I know that sounds bizarre to say that rain is wet, but I think you know what I mean, Dave. It's just very wet out there.
Yes, I do, and I did make mention of it in the first game that I was out in it just prior to kick-off, and it's a lot heavier than what it looks, and it looks a very similar style of rain than what it was back then. It got heavier there towards the end of the game before us, and then lightened up. But the ground is probably starting to take its toll on the ground by the looks of it.
Certainly is.
In the centre square.
Well, that 50-metre area where the kickoff is, that's starting to look like a bit of a pool itself as Poland work it away from a short kickoff back from Hong Kong, nearly getting out of that tackle. Oh, second effort from McMurrich. That was ruled to be play on. Nothing wrong with a bit of aggression here at St Mary's. It is 4 points to nil. Poland leading Hong Kong. Rugby League Emerging Nations World Championship, and that seemed to be a knock-on at the play the ball. Hong Kong will get it back, Dave.
Yeah, and that's the brother you mentioned, Maslanka there. Probably just trying to play that a little bit too quick. Made a meal of it, and a Hong Kong ball. They needed that. That was another good 3 or 4 tackle set that they'd had Poland, and they're starting to march upfield pretty well.
We'd have to say at the moment they are certainly winning the early field position battle here. They do have a couple of big boppers, and they're using them to very good effect. Usher and Kolodzic have been enormous so far to start the match, but here is a big body. Speaking of big blokes to keep coming through, it's Jason Farley. Now, initially he was named in the centres despite wearing the number 13 jersey. I don't think he's still there, though, based on that run right in the middle of the field. They'll play this just over the halfway line. It's another big run. McMurrich comes away with the number 17. That's Lindsay now. He works at centre of the field, just short of the 40-metre line. He'll still struggle for a couple more metres here. Spence wrapping around. You'd think he wants the ball at this point in time, the little halfback. McMurrich Dummies it to him, but then goes short to Ben Ryan, who keeps pushing forward, and he's caught around about 35 metres out from the Polish line. It'll come to Spence in the headgear. Spence, a dummy, a step, and he nearly got away, but Usher hammered him and put him to ground. A good ball and all tackle. That'll be the last. 30 metres out, and the key kicker is taken out of play at the moment. And it's not a good kick, as you can see off the back of it. They're all up for it, though, and it's a knock-on, so not a great end to the set there. And now there's a chance for a bit of a counter-attack, and they nearly got away through McKeighton. McKeighton is caught. That's not what you need at the end of your set, though, is it, Dave?
Nah, a little bit of inexperience there from the 7. He got caught on tackle 5 and forced the kick out to his 5'8", who made a meal of it. Now he's got to tackle. He's put his head down there and he's made every effort. I've got to say, young Spence, there's not much of him, but he's very willing.
No, he's a very courageous young player, and there he is again getting in for the tackle. And I think we might have also seen potentially a head knock here, because I'm just having a look on the sideline, and the number 16 is preparing to come on. That is Mikey Bryan, and he's holding one of those medical cards there. So we'll try and get an update for that if we can. And there's a couple of taps to the head going on from the officials too. Here is the last now as Sajka decides to put it into the air. There's a couple of players back there, including Spence, who seems to be everywhere at the moment, except underneath the ball. He let it bounce. It's made a meal of, and in the end, it'll be a goal line dropout.
Yeah, that was a tough one. He was on his way back. He had to try and find his feet, which he did, but he just couldn't quite get under the ball. And it's gone touch and goal. So it'll be a Poland ball again. Going to be hard to hold out here.
And it is interesting just to see how each of these players are playing. I mean, we've got young Matty Waugh. He's back at fullback wearing the 15. We've got Alvin Chan out there, but Spence seems to be playing almost as an old traditional halfback from the 70s, sort of sweeping in behind the line quite a bit.
Well, he is, and look, they do well. Not disrespectful to the young fella, but as I said, there's not much of him, and he is willing, but it's a long game of football, and tackling fellas as big as what he's got here, they do well to protect him a little better than what they have done thus far. But at the moment, he's defending out on his right side. And I wouldn't mind betting that on the next set he's going to have to make a tackle, or the next play I should say.
Well, we'll see if they can protect him a la Cooper Cronk for the Roosters grand final as Poland comes centre of the field. Through their 5'8", sweeping around as Niscott. Niscott finds a good ball to Artsy, and Artsy might well go in. No, stripped right at the last there. Brilliant stuff. That was the number 15. In fact, is it the number 15? I think it is. It's Matt Waugh who's playing at the fullback. He's still got the ball away here, and they'll try and get out of the in-goal with some enterprising play. But they rally quite well there, Poland. Geez, that was enterprising play indeed. The strip in the act of scoring, Dave.
Well, which of course is allowed. So play on, and they did well to at least attempt to get out of the in-goal. They weren't able to do it, unfortunately for them, and they're going to be under pressure again. But they held out, which they're going to have to do for the next few minutes. One would suspect that this Poland side, as big as they are, will probably tire at some point. So as long as Hong Kong can stay in the game, then they're going to give themselves a sniff.
Well, they're doing exactly that at the moment. Of course, a bit of pressure on them as it stands. This is the second goal line dropout in a row, back-to-back sets for that matter. Of course, having the set beforehand as this ball slowly dribbles toward Niscott, and he doesn't find any runners to start with. Eventually he has one, but he's absolutely smashed by a combination of Ryan and also underneath there, I think it was the hooker McMurrich. It was indeed. Here's Wurtzak. He works it away to Usher for a nice hit up here to work it within 15 metres of the try line. So more pressure on Hong Kong here. Defensive line is reasonably well set though, but they are fanned across here to the left as it comes through Sajka and out through Meta Ungaro, and he found another runner. Eventually they're put to ground roughly 10 metres out. Spence involved in the tackle once again. Wurtzak, here's Meta Ungaro. He does a nice little cutout pass. They nearly got through. In fact, I think they might have got there. It's Mike Hayden. He's gone over. And it was a beautiful, beautiful working of the short side.
Yeah, it was. Difficult to tell here. The pass looked marginal. But anyway, the referee was on the touch judge, right on the spot. So they've awarded it, and probably quite a justifiable lead for Poland after 15 minutes.
Yeah, they certainly have been the dominant side. It's been a very brave effort so far as well from Hong Kong. And you can just see in the replay there, if you're watching online with Bar TV Sports, Gus Spence putting up the hand. He certainly agreed with you, Dave. He thought it was more than marginal. He was making a big case to the referee.
Yeah. Again, we're not on a great angle here, but it looked forward to me. But as I said, the touch judge was right on the spot, so you've got to roll with that decision. Well, Hong Kong do anyway. And it's probably a carbon copy to some degree of the game before, in that and that they probably just need to hold on for 5 or 10 minutes, work themselves back into the game. Japan weren't able to do it, and that ended up being a blowout. We don't want that to happen here as well, but Hong Kong, they just need to hold on to the ball, maybe cut the flamboyance out and just complete the next 3 or 4 sets of 6, get a good kick in, and just try and work themselves into the game.
And Sageka will have this kick from literally about 20 centimetres in from the left-hand touchline. Here on our closest side toward the commentary box. It's a good little crowd here as well, and it has been throughout the day. Real carnival atmosphere for what is ultimately a bit of a carnival in the sense of it's a championship day.
Well, it is, and I've got to say I was very impressed as we see that kick fall just short with the amount of cars and the amount of people when I came here today. Not being involved in one of these tournaments before, I really didn't know what to expect. So it was wonderful to see so many people and very well supported competition.
Especially given the horrendous conditions as well. We've mentioned it before, and it's probably not done justice on your screens at home if you are watching this via YouTube or wherever else. It's quite wet out here. The rain is still coming down, and it really has not given up for some time. It's been very wet all day. Western Sydney has been hammered with these storms. And we're hoping to see Hong Kong get back into this one and not be hammered themselves as they just try and struggle to put this back on the tee. We'll get ready to kick off once again. So it'll be Hong Kong in the blue and red to restart us here. Poland to receive. That ball is kicked away and it'll come down to Meta Ungaro. He catches it. Looks for a runner. Certainly finds exactly that. Looks to be Usher who moves it forward. It is indeed James Usher. He's put on his back. 25 metres out. Here's Wurtzak going short side. Brings it away to the number 11. A nice little fend over the top of Spence. He's got that small frame, and if they can target him, they'll find a bit of room. Wurtzak goes away to Meta Ungaro. Here's Usher. Usher, another good offload from him. Very similar player in what we've seen so far to Aaron Woods. He likes to turn, get the arm free, potentially get an offload away. Here's Niscott playing it to Wurtzak. He'll come back to Sageka looking for a 40-20. It's a great one. You're exactly right, Dave. He absolutely drilled it. It was hit sweet, and there was no one really back there either. It seemed to be a kick that was slightly early in the set too.
Yeah, it was. I think it was tackle 4, but he had sights for one thing, and that was the exact spot that ball went out. That was a great kick. As soon as it left the boot, it looked a 40-20. And now that's going to heap even more pressure on Hong Kong now. And you're right, they had no one back there. But whilst it was a good kick, it probably should have been covered.
And here is Moseby getting very close to the line from the tap. He might have actually got there, but the referee says he's just still in the field of play. Couldn't be more than about 10 centimetres short, though. Here's Wurtzak. Tries to get away from them, but they're eager to it. And they're quick on him. They put him to ground and push him back probably another metre as well. They'll go again for a little scoot from dummy half, trying to barge over for the 3rd consecutive time. And he'll be held up, and they'll take it back out to the 10-metre line. That's good defence from Hong Kong.
Yeah, it is, but a bit of white line fever there 3 times in a row. They really don't need to spread it too far, and there's going to be holes. That's 3 runs from dummy half. That's really not good enough at this time of the game.
And 2 of them from Moseby as he plays the ball. Here's Wurtzak going away to Sageka. Sageka shows it once on the inside and then goes to his outside. He was aiming for the runaround, but he didn't get the offload back. So that'll put an end to that play. Wurtzak goes to the right-hand side. Once again through Sageka. He'll turn it back toward the middle with Niscott. Of course, the son of Ziggy. He's out there today. We'll wait to see what he can do. Does he still have the speed of the old man? They'll put it back into the middle here. Wurtzak, that's a poor pass. It comes to Meta Ungaro. He's got support there, and he decides to go short. It's far too easy, really. Way too easy. And Skorochkic, he goes through. Almost untouched, and you can see a couple of Hong Kong defenders on the ground. They are quite deflated after that one, Dave.
Yeah, they are. No, I'm calling for forward pass again, but I've got to say that one looked okay. Just a nice short ball. Poor defence. They were expecting the pass out the back to go around to the half. It was folding around, but it just didn't happen.
So in the end, we are now left with a 12-0 scoreline. We're roughly halfway through the first half here. Just over 20 minutes left in it. A kick still to come. And we do have a nice little interview coming up with you in just a moment's time here with Neville Metcalf, who is the manager of Hong Kong. Be hoping for just a little bit more from what he's seen so far from his team, but they have stuck it quite nicely at the moment. They've really been courageous in defence. A couple of good performances too. Gus Spence has looked good so far. And I am now joined by none other than Neville Metcalf himself. Neville, how you going?
Yeah, great to be here, mate. Thanks for inviting me up.
wonderful for you to join us here. Have you liked what you've seen so far from the boys? They're really sticking in there quite well.
Like maybe showing a lot of heart. Craig McMurrick is tackling like we know he can do. And look at the size of the Polish boys compared to some of our lads. I think
some big boys out there.
The Hong Kong lads are doing the shirt proud, but obviously need to do a lot better.
Now, how long have you been in your role as manager of the Hong Kong team?
Yeah, so I'm a chairman of Hong Kong Rugby League, and I've been involved since we started, more or less, for about 3 years. So it's been a rapid-fire development, going from having nothing to where we are now, competing in the Emerging Nations World Championship.
It's a wonderful achievement to get this far. Tell me a little bit about the domestic side of the competition in Hong Kong. Is there much of a scene there?
There is, mate, and it's growing every year. We've got 2 marquee events. On the 4th of May, we've got the Hong Kong Rugby League Nines. Last year, that was won by a Tonga development squad, and that's really, it's a fantastic event. We get nations and clubs from all over the world. And then we've got our domestic Super League, which will be into its 3rd year in 2019. So, we're growing every year, and we're really happy with the progress we're seeing.
So what's the aim in, say, a year from now and 5 years' time?
Look, we've got about 4 or 5 Australian heritage players playing today, and we love them. But ultimately, we'd love to have a full Hong Kong team. I'm very proud of the fact that over 80% of our players playing our domestic league. I think that's a great sign. So really, we just want increased participation, more numbers, and more referees and supporting infrastructure that go into it.
Brilliant. Well, Neville, thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me, and all the best of luck today with Hong Kong.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you. Brilliant stuff. Here is Poland with the ball. They're around about 30 to 40 metres away from the Hong Kong line. This will be the last tackle. We saw a big bump off earlier in the set there. Fantastic to have a chat with Neville as well. Of course, he is the chairman for Hong Kong Rugby League, and they're doing some fantastic stuff in the country. As War takes that one quite nicely, and they'll say he was just inside the in-goal there, Dave.
Yeah, well taken. And I've got to say the general consensus from a lot of our guests has been pretty much the same thing, that participation in their respective countries is growing, which is fantastic to hear. And as Willie alluded to earlier on, the financial support probably needs to be there from our host body, the National Rugby League. We're not quite sure what they're putting into this tournament as Hong Kong get themselves a penalty. But yeah, the general consensus is that the game is growing in these areas, which is fantastic news.
Finally getting the penalty there. They just took a little too long to get off him, and you're absolutely right, Dave. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see it in Australia, in all the country regions, and as you've mentioned, it is growing there. In contrast to popular belief as well, as you mentioned, and it is just fantastic to see how big it is getting each and every place that we have a look at. I was up here not too long ago as well, calling the Malta versus South Africa game, and much the same. That was a fantastic match, one of the best games of rugby league I've seen in the last couple of years, Dave.
Well, it's just terrific to see the enthusiasm, and I commented on it no less than half a dozen times in the game that preceded this one, where the Japanese clearly had they were outclassed by their opposition, but they never gave up, and that was great to see. It'd be easy to see them throw in the towel at 30 or 40-0, but they kept trying, kept coming at them, and they wanted that try. They didn't get it, but I'm sure that their time will come.
Absolutely, as we see Toby Lee enter the fray now for Hong Kong, the number 8 just onto the field. Spence will go to the left-hand side. He finds the number 17. That's Lindsay with a little bit of a dummy, and he tried to find a way through, but the Polish defence was nice and firm, and they stopped him in his tracks. Caught just inside the 10-metre zone here. Spence at first receiver. He gets the ball, and now that freshman on the field, Toby Lay, decides to try and lay a path through them.
He's a big boy.
He's like a bulldozer, isn't he? He'll play the ball now, and they'll come away to Spence once more. He is their go-to man. Out the back for War. War puts in a little kick. It's well fielded. Niscott going across the side. And eventually he finds a little bit of a gap, gets away from War. He's still going here, Niscott. He's a hard man to handle. It's slippery conditions, and he is very much like the conditions at the moment. Very slippery as Niscott.
Yeah, he's been strong to start the game, and as we've said a couple of times, wonderful rugby league heritage. Ziggy Niscott, of course, a long-term South stalwart from probably the early 80s, if my memory serves me correctly.
There's a nice little hit up there as well from Balansinki, and it ends up resulting in a penalty for Poland. So that's what happens when you run hard. You put the pressure on the defensive line, and they're forced to just try and slow it down a bit more, and sometimes they can get pinged for it. Just over 15 minutes left in this first half. James Preston in commentary with you, alongside Dave Wall. the Country Rugby League, and this is a fantastic event that we are seeing today. It is a fantastic crowd too, I have to say, and it has been quite a good crowd all day, as you've observed, Dave.
Yeah, wonderful to be part of it, and I've said that a couple of times, and the crowd, particularly in relation to the Turkish contingent in the last game, was very, very strong, although as I look in front of us here, the crowd's probably a little more sparse in certain areas, but heavier in others, so I'd say we're probably looking at a similar style crowd.
Absolutely. Here is Poland now working it around about 30 metres away from Hong Kong's line. It's another good hit up here, and they've nearly got all the way through. Usher then comes in support, and he's caught just inside the 10-metre line. Wurtzak waits at dummy half. He'll bring it back toward the centre of the field. Meta Ungaro. He then finds a short ball once again. Can he go through for his second? He will do exactly that. It's Karachik. And Karachvik, well, he has gone in once again, and in very much similar fashion to his previous try. It was a flat ball, and they didn't really get much of a body behind him.
Well, it's carbon copy, and that short ball on the left edge has caused some trouble probably 3 times now. Twice it's led to a try. That's good footy. Unfortunately, they've just got to mark up. That 11 is running some good lines. He's got 2 smart halves to run off as well, which is going to help him during the course of the game, during the course of the tournament.
Meta Ungaro playing at 5'8", and of course Harry Sajka, who has tasted NRL experience with Penrith and also played in the Super League. He's the halfback wearing that number 7, and he's also been scrapped from the kicking duties here, Dave. They've put in Niscott instead of Sajka. He's none from 3 so far,
yeah,
so they'll try their luck with the son of Ziggy.
Well, he'd be dirty because he's got an easy one here,
and he's only about 2 metres to the left of the uprights. I'm in fact being told that he's the nephew, so nonetheless a relation to the great Ziggy Niscott, not the son. Here he is lining up this kick. He's roughly 2 metres to the left-hand side of the uprights, 10 metres back. It's a nice, easy one, and I think you're right, Dave. Sajka would be pretty filthy about not getting the opportunity to take that one.
I'd reckon I would, Luke, but the 3 kicks he had, 2 of them were from touch, and the other one wasn't too far from it, so he's probably a little bit unlucky, but he might have sacked himself, who knows.
Could well have sacked himself. It is 18 points to 0 here at St Mary's Stadium for the Emerging Nations Rugby League World Championship. Poland leading Hong Kong 18 points to 0. 13 minutes to play in this first half. We've seen some excellent action so far. The rain still coming down. Of course, Western Sydney has just dealt with buckets of it today. They look to get us back underway here. Hong Kong in the blue and the red if you're just joining us. And it comes down to Poland. It's a nice strong charge too. Full of venom, and just on the field is Mikey Bryan. He keeps going over a couple of them.
Yeah, that's a good run. 35 out, tackle 1.
Great way to start your set. It was Ringo Lung, who's probably got the best name I've heard in some time. Sinbad Kali. Do you remember him for the Melbourne Storm? He was the other player that had a fantastic name.
Actually, I do, come to think of it. Yeah, I think Ringo might have him, though, to be honest.
He might well indeed. Ringo Lung. I hope he doesn't blow a lung just with all the adoration he's going to get from having a name like that. They'll come to the left-hand side of the field. Meta Ungaro, that's a nice little ball over the top to Artsy, who can find a bit of space to wind up. Nearly got away from him. It was a good tackle. In fact, he then bumps off a further 2. Artsy's away from 1. Gets away from another one. He keeps fending him off. He's basically like the Hulk at the moment. Put a tank in front of him and he'll break that too. He's around about 15 metres out, centre of the field. Slow play the ball. Could have been a penalty. Wurtzak goes to the right-hand side. Here's Sajka. Sajka's got numbers in support. Niscott, he bumps off one. Everybody is breaking tackles at the moment. It's Jared Hayne 2009 fever. He's put to the deck around about 5 metres out. Plenty of options on both sides of the play the ball. Wurtzak will go back to the middle. Sajka is there. He decides to have a run himself, stepping off the left. A long cutout pass once again. Look to potentially be forward. They'll bat it back toward the middle. Kick now. It's come off a Hong Kong defender. It's still alive, and then eventually they'll kick it dead. Well, that is haphazard play if ever I've seen one, Dave.
Yeah, it is. They're probably a little bit fortunate there. Marginal pass again, but again the touchy was in the right spot. Throws it inside a kick. Really could have gone anywhere. They get the ball back. I don't know how long it's been since Hong Kong had the ball, but I reckon that's 4 or 5 sets in a row now that Poland have had, and they're really heaping the pressure on.
Certainly are heaping the pressure on, and I mean, they might not have had the ball in the hand, but their feet are certainly getting a bit of a workout at the moment with restarting and dropouts, because there's been a lot of pressure forced, Dave.
Yeah, and then their shoulders are in defence as well. So and it's going to happen again here in the next 60 seconds. I don't know that they can hold out. They're certainly taking their time with the dropout, giving themselves every opportunity to have a breather. It'll
be War that restarts us, and he gets a decent connection with it, bouncing just short of the 40. Niscott grabs it, and he offers it away to Kolodzic. Kolodzic back through the middle. He's caught on tackle 1. around 25 metres out from the Hong Kong line. Wurtzak comes to the left-hand side of the field. Sherbanek is now on, the number 15. He's put to ground. Doesn't pick up a great deal of meterage there. Caught 20 metres out. Here's Wurtzak coming away to Meta Ungaro. Sageka, dummies once, goes out the back to Niscott. There are numbers here if they can get it and if they're good enough. It's a low pass and it forced Malenska to try and dive for it. He just got it in the end. 10 minutes to go in this first half. Now push it back toward the middle here. Just going for a bit of a settler. And Hong Kong, they step up nicely and shut down all the options. That's good defending. Now hold him up for just a little bit of extra time too so they can reset their line. Wurtzak, away to Sageka. And they'll offer a regulation hit up here. It's strong defence once more on Kolodzic. He's back on the field after his first stint. And that'll be the last tackle here. Wurtzak, away to Sageka. Nice little grubber in. It's been played at though. That'll be 6 again. And there you can see the referee in the background just giving the little signal. So they've got another attempt here on the line, Dave.
Yeah, hard to hold them out here. They didn't go for that short play in the last set, although they're going to go for it here. No, they're not. Or they're not. They don't have to.
They're not even going to need to in the end. Sageka gave it to Meta Ungaro, and it was simple, very simple for him. A little stop, pivot, just waited for the gap to open up, and he went straight through it.
Yeah, too good. They're just starting to struggle now with the conditions, and even though it's wet, it's hard underfoot, it's soft underfoot, and I think the Hong Kong players are starting to struggle.
Well, they've had to do so much defending in the last 15 to 20 minutes. As you mentioned, they've barely had the ball. They would be absolutely exhausted at the moment. It is hard just to do those 1%ers sometimes, isn't it?
Well, it's at this level, it's almost impossible, and I think we'll see a very, very slow walk back to half time, or back to halfway to kick off. There's 8.5 minutes to go, and they really need the ball back. This is almost a carbon copy, as I said before, of the first game, where it's just starting to blow out towards the end of that first half.
And they've just made an interchange as well here, Poland. It's Wojciechowski, Szyczkowski coming on to the field in number 17. And now Ethan Niscott has got this one from a pretty similar position to his last kick. So I think that Harry Sageka would still be spewing about giving away the kicking duties here, because he could have actually improved his ratio quite a bit. 22 points to nil with a kick to come, as Niscott takes his time with this one, right about 15 metres back, and slots it pretty nicely. It'll be 24-0 with just under 8 minutes to go in this first half, Dave.
Yeah, well, as we keep saying, Hong Kong just need to get their hands on the ball and just complete a couple of sets, just work themselves into the game. The more they concede possession, the more defence they're going to have to do, the more tries they're going to concede, and then the more tackling they're going to have to do again. So it's a vicious circle that they just can't get themselves out of at the moment.
It's a very good way to describe it. It is indeed a vicious cycle, because every single time they kick off the ball, they seem to either give away a penalty or there's some sort of line break made. Sageka might come up with a 40-20, and once again they've got the ball back. So they'll be hoping to just get through this set defensively. If they can try and get to half-time with this same scoreline here, I think they'll take a lot of confidence from that. And they can just build on it in the second half. It comes down to Mosby there, and he's already scored twice himself. He's run some great lines on this left-hand edge. Wurtzak brings it back to the middle.
I think we'll see them come back to him, possibly before half-time. I was surprised they didn't go with that opportunity in the last set. They ended up scoring anyway. Well, they might not get it here. I think they've conceded. Yep, they have.
And it's a nice shot there in the end from Farley. Just hung out the arm there and made good contact in the end.
Yeah, and credit to young Spence. He's picked up the ball. He's keen to get going. 6.5 minutes to go. They want to get on the board before half-time.
Well, this is probably the first time they've been in Poland's half in about 20 minutes, so they would be quite excited to get a crack at this line. They really haven't had much time down this end of the field at any point in time in this match so far. The only time they did come down there, of course, they had that bizarre penalty against Spence, despite the fact that he was the man that grabbed the ball through.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're probably right. I'm not sure that they've had the ball at all since then, but this is their opportunity. At the very least, they should get to the last tackle and a kick, and a decent chase. Put a little bit of pressure on the Polish side and just try and get some air in the lungs again.
Here's McMurrich offering it away to Spence, who turns it back on the inside to that big man Toby Lay. They're in decent field position here, 25 metres out. McMurrich goes to Spence. Spence, a little goose step, decides to kick very early in the tackle count. Not sure about that, particularly when they haven't had much time in possession, Dave.
Well, I'm loath to be critical, but under the circumstances, I really can't understand that play.
Strange play indeed from Spence as Niscott gets away from a couple of them. He's still going here as I see the old man walk in front of me in the commentary box here. Hello, Dad. How you going? They're caught on the 30-metre line here. They'll come away back to the centre of the field. Here's Mosby, who's caused so much damage on the left-hand side. He decides to come to the centre of play here and just take a little bit of a hit up for them. This is a man who hasn't been able to get himself into the game pretty much since he scored that try early on. Maslanka. He came in for a bit of a run. Sageka kicks early because he's noticed there's no one back there, but it will bounce and kick on.
Yeah, right idea. There was no one back there. If that found the mark, I don't know that he would have scored. He didn't look like he had the legs, but he certainly would have ensured another dropout.
They've got just 5 more minutes to hold out here, Poland, and that's just a little bit of a piggyback to help them get out of their own end and just heap the pressure off. And it is good to see they've had now 2 sets in a row where they haven't conceded points, and that they can try and build some pressure and work their way up into the Polish territory.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, that said, though, they only got to tackle 3 and kick. So let's hope that they can actually complete this set and get to a kick.
Well, that's certainly going to help them as well. There's a penalty for a bit of extra work in the bin. One of the players is going to the bin here. Now, is this actually the Hong Kong
player? I'm not quite sure what's happened there.
What on earth has happened there? It's McMurrich, the hooker, who's been sent to the bin, and I'm not exactly sure what's happened. Potentially he's maybe had a word with the referee here, because I didn't see anything in the play the ball and the tackle itself.
No, well, nor did I. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I can only assume that that's some sort of dissent, but I didn't really see anything in the tackle that warranted a penalty either. So,
just having a look at the replay here as well. Murrich, not exactly sure what's happened there. It seemed that as if they initially got the penalty, Hong Kong, and then McMurrich began mouthing off, I think saying something along to the effect of, "It's about time, Dave."
Well, possibly, but I don't know why you would do that when you've just got the penalty. So.
Absolutely, and now they're in a dangerous position here once again, and they're down to 12 men, so it's not looking good right now for Hong Kong. Here's Wurtzak going back to Sageka. Now Meta Ungaro. He's got numbers out the back, including Niscott, who he links up with. Here's Astari. He keeps going, stepping off the left foot. He breaks out of a couple of tackles. Of course, he beat about 6 or 7 defenders in his last run, and Artsy nearly went all the way there. He's caught roughly 5 metres in. That could have been a penalty once again, but they'll say that they're just tangled up like a pretzel. Come back and play it. And we'll restart again. Referee blows time on Niscott, pushing it back toward the middle. Here's Meta Ungaro, linking up with Sageka. Sageka getting away from them. That's a nice pass, and if he caught it, he would have gone through untouched, you'd like to think, Dave.
Well, that's a carbon copy of what they're doing on the other side of the field. Just a short ball to a back roll on that inside line, and he was through, no doubt about it. He would have scored under the sticks, but he spilled his lollies.
So how can they stop that? Obviously, they're using the short ball as an exponent here and being able to find a bit of space in that sense. Do they need to stop jamming in, or do they need to spread a bit more, hold off?
Well,
what's the answer?
Well, it's difficult. You saw the play 2 plays before where they shaped to use that move and then went to I think it was Syker out the back, fold around. They ended up defending that quite well, but yeah, it seems to be the inside ball that's killing them. Maybe they just need to play for that inside ball, and if it is the case that Syker gets out the back, then you've just got to try and cover it.
We just saw a good shot there from both Meta Ungaro and Kolodzic, and Kolodzic then followed it up with another tackle here. So Hong Kong just holding on, going into half-time. What about the shot Sageka tried to put on? He's trying to fire up his side just before we get to half-time. He's not letting Hong Kong off the hook, that is for sure. Spence steps off the left, evades another defender, and then he's monstered in the end by Kolodzic. You don't want to run into him too often. He's a tiny little halfback, but he's full of courage.
Yeah,
they'll go out the back here to War. War with a big kick away, and that's exactly what they needed given the situation they were in. Rain streaming down, but Niscott makes a good catch.
And what a great chase by the half again. David Goliath effort there a moment ago. Here he is. His first man down there. Didn't make the tackle, but certainly forced Niscott into the remainder of the defence.
Well, here's Maslanka going away down the right sideline. He's got support back on the inside. He might just put the heels back and run for it himself. A great finish, and he'll end up with a double. It was Maslanka to Maslanka. And in the end, it's Simon who's gone over for his second try. Wasn't really much doing there. They just found a bit of space on the edge, though, Dave.
Yeah, well, again, probably just not a great effort in terms of the chase from Hong Kong. The initial chase was Spence, but their outside backs there just have let them down, and too much space. If they don't don't get their defence right on that, or both edges really, then this could end up being a cricket score.
We just showed him up very nicely there too. We know he's got pace, Maslanka, and as he approached War at the back there, he just stopped on his run for the slightest little moment, and that forced War himself to stop and prop, and he took off once again. It was well finished from the centre. It's his second try, and now with 20 seconds on the clock, I think Sageka will be smiling about this attempt Niscott will have to do, because finally it's a difficult one, the same type that Sageka's had to deal with.
Might be smiling if he gets it.
Well, he might be actually, an extra 2 points for him.
Yeah, that's true.
10 seconds left on the clock. It's Poland 28 points to 0 over Hong Kong. This one from just inside the right-hand touchline, around about 25 metres back. If you can get this, be a nice healthy lead, even more so than what they have right now going into half-time. But Hong Kong did stop the bleeding for about a 5 or 10 minute period there. They just really need to get some time in possession. That is all they're lacking really, because that one just going away to the right-hand side. So that is how it'll stay at the end of the first half here. James Preston with you in commentary alongside Dave Wall. The score is 28 points to 0. We'll take a break and we'll come back with you for the second half of all the action here at St Mary's Stadium. And welcome back for the second half of this clash here between Hong Kong and Poland. We are live from St Mary's Stadium. James Preston with you in commentary alongside Dave Wall. And we've seen some awesome stuff in the first half, particularly from Poland. They have dominated. It's been quite emphatic indeed. In terms of the try scorers, where we've had Makaiden, a double to Malanska. Meta Ungaro has also got a try, and we've also had another double to Korostik. So they are certainly dominating at the moment. 28 points to nil, plenty of tries in it. And Dave, how are we seeing this one play out in the second half?
Well, I can't see a whole lot of difference, to be perfectly honest. We heard Willie Mason here earlier, who's tied up with the Poland side, indicate he thought that they would be one of the contenders for it, and I've seen nothing to dispute what he said.
They have indeed looked very good so far, and Sajka, he's certainly been pulling the strings, and he's the one who will get us back underway here, but they found just a bit of space through War down the left-hand side. A couple of nice fends from him. That's a good way to start the set, and a good way to start the second half here for Hong Kong.
Yeah, he's probably been Hong Kong's best, I think, War.
They look quite safe at the back. That one nearly got into a dangerous position. Sajka was over the top and Wurtzak down the bottom. Just over the 40-metre line as Lung goes away to Spence. Spence offers it back toward the middle, and they'll just take a little hit up here. I think they might still be down to 12 men at the moment as well, with McMurrich still in the sin bin. He was set pretty late in that first half. That ball is dropped. Might have been backwards. In fact, they'll say it was. Spence brings it away to War. War's got a bit of support there. Fresh onto the field is the number 26, and he's hit hard. It was Johnson. He's put to ground 40 metres away from the opposition line. Lung, who is at the moment filling in at dummy half. Not a great pass, but they'll hold on to it and keep pushing forward toward the 30-metre line. That'll be the last tackle here for Hong Kong. A good first set to start things off. Getting a couple of points toward the left-hand side, and that is the way that Spence will go with the kick. Chases through, including War. He bounces off one and then hammers Niscott, who looks to have dropped the ball. That's a great way to finish the set, Dave.
Yeah, great work, and that's those two men, Spence and War again. Spence the kicker and War the chaser, and he's forced an error there. Well done.
It was an excellent chase, and he put a lot of pressure on Niscott. Hit him hard as well. Wasn't as if he just scared him a little bit. He actually made some good contact.
And he had to get around a couple of blockers as well, so he did really well to get there.
And Spence will have the feed now, just 10 metres away from the Polish line. I'm personally really looking forward to seeing Hong Kong get over the white line here, get themselves on the board. They deserve it because it has been a courageous performance so far. They'll go for a bit of a short side play, but then Spence decides to come back to the open side. And he links up with Farley, who gives a very risky offload away, but War picks it up, and he's hit hard from Sajka. Good shot from the little halfback.
He felt that one too, I think.
He's caught 5 metres away from the line. Short ball from Lung, and they'll go back toward the centre and try and burrow their way under, almost as if he's a mole. He's caught 2 metres away. And once again, they go for a little scoot from dummy half, and he'll be held up, will he? Yes, the referee signalling that he did get over the line, but he just couldn't get the ball down. So halfway through this set, they'll come back to the 10-metre line for a play the ball.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm really hoping they get over the line here.
Be Lung waiting at dummy half. He's got options both sides of the play the ball as the referee rules time back on. Spence, short ball, and not a good one in the end, really. Should have been caught, but it wasn't good from Toby Lay.
Yeah, put some pressure on him. He was late to the line. We really should have.
Well, hang on. Here is Niscott. He got away from a couple of them. He's had a really good game so far. Put on a fend, found just a bit of space, and that should be 0 tackle too. So it's a good way to start the set for them. Here's Makaiden. He goes back towards the centre of the field. Caught around 25 metres out, and he's dropped it. So after just getting a fresh set of 6 themselves, they'll offer it straight back here to Hong Kong.
Well, they get another chance. They had very limited opportunities in the first half, so this will be their second. In the second, let's hope they can do something with it. I really think that the 15 War was probably certainly the most likely, almost the only one who's likely to make a break for the Hong Kong side. So I'd be trying to isolate someone out here on this left-hand side.
Well, Farley's looking to link up with him, and he nearly got the arm free. He does like an offload, Farley, but good pressure over the top, and they put him to ground. War at dummy half. That's that man that Dave has been speaking about. Comes away to Lung, the captain. He finds Spence, and Spence is picked up and hammered into the ground. He's not the biggest bloke, and he can certainly take a bit of a pummeling. Todd Polglaze back in his South Sydney days. Here's War off the right foot. He'll keep going back toward the middle. They'll put him to ground too. So they're getting numbers on their danger men at the moment. The Polish side. Lung back towards the middle. He brings it away to the number 12. That's Yip. And Yip is forced sideways. They've only got a few more plays left in this one. Lung goes to Spence. Spencer's got runners with him. He decides to kick. It's not a bad little grubber into the in goal. If it sits up, they'll do nicely, but it just goes a bit too long. Unlucky there, Spence.
Yeah, it just didn't pop for him. The idea was right, and the execution really was right. He just didn't get the bounce that he needed.
Of course, with that slippery surface, it can just slide across the ground, kick up, and go for one or two extra rolls that you really just don't need.
Which is exactly what it did.
So I'll have a restart here at the 20-metre line with Wurtzak. He's got an eager participant heading up the field in the form of Kolodzic. He's had a good game so far, plenty of work from the big prop, and he also gets a penalty for his troubles. So they'll look to find touch here, and that'll just take all the pressure that Hong Kong have applied in these early stages of the second half and lift it off the Polish side as they find touch on that red line there, the 40-metre mark. It'll be Artsy, who does a very old-school tap there. I haven't seen one of those in a while, Dave.
No, that's true. I think the last time I saw that was Brett Morris in Origin, and he dropped it. So.
Slightly better outcome on this occasion for Artsy. Here's Meta Ungaro back toward the middle of the field. That's a nice little bump off using the shoulder from a man who's already scored twice here in this match, Karotchik. He comes away now and plays it to Wurtzak. They'll go short side with Sajka. Sajka, he found Mosby running, and he got a great little offload away. Here's Malanska. Oh, well done. He had to make a play at the ball, and he did very well in the end there. Once again, War, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, he did, and he nearly held on to that too. He had a couple of plays at it. Had he got hold of it, I think he had some space.
And you fancy if we had a dry track out there, if it hadn't been raining all day, he would have taken that and run the length of the field.
Very possibly. He looks as though he's got a bit of speed, although we've not seen him in open field, but physically he certainly looks up to it.
And they should be commended with how they've started this second half as well, because they've done so with just 12 men. McMurray is preparing to come back onto the field now, but in his first 6 minutes, you'd have to say Hong Kong have probably been on top, and they've done so with a man less. Potentially that is the way to go, isn't it, Dave? Often we see that when there's one less man on the field, the whole team seems to lift a little bit.
Well, it certainly can happen. He's got a lot of work to do now. He left his side down to 12 men for 10 minutes, and really at a time when they were starting to work themselves into the game, they had a penalty on their own 40. It was just a dumb play. We still don't know exactly what he said, mind you, but the referee certainly heard something that warranted it.
Well, it might be one of those things that forever stays on the field unless we can catch up with him after the game, and potentially he'll tell us the porky and say, "Oh, I didn't say anything, mate."
Oh, football players don't lie.
We don't know a single one that does. And there is an error there at the end of that set as well from Poland. So this will come back to Hong Kong, and they'll get the scrum feed around about 10 metres out from their own line. It'll be Spence to feed it. Score is 28 points to nil at the moment. 7 minutes gone in the second half. And if you're just joining us, it is Poland in the white and red. They've been quite dominant in this match. Hong Kong in the blue and red. They'll feed the scrum, get this one away here through Lung. And Lung, they've got two pretty small halves, and they pick up Lung on this occasion and drag him back. Fair to say that Lung would be out of breath after that tackle. Here's McMurray back onto the field now, having had his 10 minutes in the bin. And he'll have to atone for that sin that he did. And, of course, it is the sin bin, so quite fitting, really. Now, caught here on tackle number 3. A lot of extra pressure in that play. The ball probably unlucky not to get a penalty in the end. And he'll come away through Alvin Chan, the number 5. And he's caught 35 metres out from his own line. One more left in this one before they'll be forced to put in a kick. Here is Spence coming across the field. He links up with Ryan. Ryan nearly found a bit of a gap, but it was a good shot in the end from Mosby, who's been really impressive in this match. They'll come back to War, who decides to go long and aim for the sideline. It's not a bad play if it gets there, and it will do.
That's a really good kick.
Just gives them a chance to recalibrate things here. In fact, I think it might be a 40-20. Is that 40-20, Dave?
It was close. I'm not exactly sure. It was certainly in the vicinity. It certainly landed inside the 20.
And I think it is. I think the referees ruled that will be tap and play on for Hong Kong here. So it's a great play in the end from War. It's not just a good one. It is a fantastic play. It'll be McMurray who will tap this one. So he's certainly been a standout for Hong Kong so far as it comes away through Ryan for a nice hit up. He'll keep backing into them. Gets to within 5 metres of the line. McMurray fresh onto the field again. He finds Spence. Spence will go for a short ball here to Toby Lay. Lay looking to get the offload away. They don't need anything fancy at this point in time. It's still early in the set. McMurray. Well, do they take the 2 and get themselves on the board? I don't think so. I reckon they'll go for the try here. They have had the ascendancy in this first 10 minutes of the second half. And in just a moment's time, we'll have a little bit of a catch-up here as well with Francisco Gaspani. He's our man from Argentina.
I think they've got one over.
And they might just have got there. The referee is checking with his assistants. Has he awarded it? There it is. We have official confirmation. So brilliant stuff. And I think it might be that man who's just come back on the field. So there you go. He has atoned for his sins.
Well,
it's McMurray who's crossed over.
Yep, yeah, that was a good little dart from dummy half.
Now, I'm also joined here in the commentary booth by our man from Argentina. I'll welcome him to the mic now. It's Francisco Gaspani. Francisco, how you doing? Now, do we have your mic on? We'll just do a quick check here. I think we've got him on. Just a final check with our producers now. Francisco, you are, of course, a hooker and a halfback. You play for Costa Atlantica.
Yeah.
Now, that's some pretty cool stuff, mate. You've come all the way over from Argentina for this event. Is that correct?
Yes, I just came back a week from now. I am living in a house in Fairfield and with Robert, the coach of the club, Carlos, the president of Argentina Rugby Union, and we are here to learn and maybe bring the sport back to Argentina.
Well, hopefully you can. I mean, what is the current scene like in Argentina? Is there much of a rugby league sort of scene happening in the country?
No, we are just beginning because in Argentina we play Rugby Union a lot, so rugby league must be a really good experience for us because it's a new sport, and I believe it's going to be a very, very good experience for the kids down there because the rugby league is really fast and funny and maybe more skillful than rugby union.
Well, it is a fantastic game. How did you first discover rugby league?
I discovered it because of Carlos. Carlos is the president of Argentina Rugby Union, Rugby League Association. He was in contact with Robert Bergen from Latin Heat, and he brought the idea to Argentina, and I met him because of a friend, and we started chatting and having some trainings. Maybe he one day came with the idea of playing a South American tournament in his city in Miramar. We gathered some players, we trained 3 or 4 months, and we played very good. Actually, we became champions, and that's the start point for us.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. Now, what do you hope to get from coming to this competition here over the next couple of weeks? Obviously, you know, it's going for around about 10 or 12 days here. What do you want to take away from this? Obviously, you want to help spread the game in Argentina, but personally, what would you like to get out of this whole event?
I have the objective to return to Argentina the experience that most of the rules and the contact is very different from rugby union. I am experiencing this is very, very odd for me because in rugby union it's more slow and the contacts are like more controlled. This is very hard for us because the rules are way different than in rugby union. So I think it's different that you watch it in a YouTube video because in Argentina we can't watch these games in the TV, so we have to put it on YouTube. It's very different than playing it. Actually, I thought it was going to be easier, but it's actually very hard.
Well, I hope you enjoy your stay here in Australia and especially in Fairfield in our Golden West. Francisco, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Everything in rugby league.
Beautiful stuff. So that was Francisco Gaspani. He is a hooker all the way from Argentina. He plays for Costa Atlantica, and we've just seen now a try here for Poland. Dave, take me through that try.
Well, it was just a standard play out the left. They were a little bit short, Hong Kong. Last couple of minutes, just Poland have started to get back on top again and made them pay in that occasion. Just during the course of that interview, we had at the other end of the field a successful shot at goal by Richard Lindsay, the 17, which made it 28-6. That's now blown out to 32-6. So. And interesting words there too, and obviously Argentina being a soccer stronghold, but rugby union being very strong as well. It's probably a country where rugby league has a real opportunity to take a stranglehold. Rugby being somewhat strong at the moment, they're not dissimilar sports. It's not like they're coming in and trying to take over an alternate sport such as soccer. So I think there's a real opportunity for the code.
And there's a lot of transferable skills, obviously, with the sports being quite similar with the physicality of it, the skill set required. So potentially we could see a couple more players come across from a rugby union background and really start to develop something in the country.
Well, we'd hope so, but and we just heard that the physicality of rugby league is obviously a lot greater, and that's been a bit of a surprise for them, which is not unexpected, but was for them, but isn't now. So, but that's something they've got to take back and learn from and get better at, and they will.
And it's another goal there from Niscott. So since he has taken over the kicking duties from Harry Sajka, he has been quite successful. And he certainly does have a bit of a smile on his face too. The score is 34 points to 6. Poland leading Hong Kong. James Preston in commentary with you alongside Dave Wall. 25 minutes to play in this match here. 15 minutes into the second half as Hong Kong get us back underway here. And that's Kolodzic, who is met with some good, strong brute force there from McMurrich and also Ryan over the top. He'll play it. After being forced back about 5 metres, he'll play it 15 metres out from his own line. And that's another good shot put on the hooker on this occasion. Word sack, but they'll say it was a little bit high. I'm not so sure about that one, Dave.
No, that looked okay. I did see a couple of minutes ago McMurrich actually give the referee another spray, believe it or not. So he didn't learn his lesson the first time.
Potentially he'll have to go to the sin bin once again. Just have a bit more time to think about it. He might have to wear the dunce cap in the corner if he gets sent once again.
Well, he's got what looks like a mullet from here, so he could probably do with a cap, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, they'll come away here with an offload. Back to Wurtzak. And now they'll work it to the middle. A nice little dummy. He nearly went all the way through. In the end, some desperation defence from Toby Lay. He nearly stayed on just a little too long there. Wurtzak comes to the left-hand side of the field. Once again, they'll try and expose them with a short ball, and they're caught just inside the 20-metre mark here. So good field position once again. Sajka waiting for it. He's got options back on the inside. One of them is Mosby, who takes the ball, tries to get away, and it's another good tackle around the legs there from War, who seems to be a little injured as I've swallowed a fly. We'll have just a bit of time off because both players seem to be a little worse for wear off the back of that, Dave.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's his shoulder. It's a little bit difficult to tell here. And we saw the play the ball very, very scrappy. It could have been a penalty against Poland, to be honest. A lot of pushing and shoving really took the defender out of the line. And we saw the Poland player duck back on the inside, and he would have walked straight through the hole that opened up as a result of that dispute. So they dodged a bullet. War made the tackle, but had he not have, I think Hong Kong would have found themselves somewhat unlucky there.
Just having a look at the screen here in front of me, and it seems to either be a wrist issue or potentially could also be one of those burners that you feel in the shoulder and they're just trying to straighten it out, Dave.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, certainly they're holding his wrist area. He looks okay. He's got a smile on his face. Everyone's happy.
And the trainer in the background is either signalling an interchange or that he wants a bit of strapping put on the wrist. And at this point in time, given he's walking from the field, I think an interchange is coming up, and that is going to be a big blow for them, Dave. He's probably been their best player today.
Oh, absolutely, and he's been easily their best, and I'm not sure whether he's giving young Harry Sajka a spray on the way off, or he's just congratulating him, but he has got a smile on his face, which is unusual for someone walking off with an injury. He's holding his arm in such a manner that I would think it unlikely we'll see him again today.
Potentially also for the entire tournament. If that is a serious wrist injury, that could well be his Emerging Nations World Championship done. And they're still in a good position here as well, Poland. Got a couple of tackles up their sleeve and they're inside the 20. So dangerous times. You can hear the applause ringing out there for War. He's been very good today. I've got a new player coming onto the field as well. It's Muklia. He's onto the field. They'll go to the left-hand side through Meta Ungaro. I'm not sure if that was played at or whether that went backwards. Referee suggesting it's hit someone's head, so we've just seen a fantastic falcon. That's great.
I think it looked a falcon for me.
Mario Fennick would be very proud. Of course, Malta has played a couple of times at this ground, so I'm sure he's got an affinity with the place. They'll go at the back here to Malasanka. And Maslanka, he's caught 10 metres out. That'll be the last tackle. Niscott waiting at dummy half. He'll go short side here to the other Maslanka. It's the Maslanka show right now. He can nearly get all the way to the line. They're just trying to hold him up. I think he may have forced it, though. And they'll say that is a penalty to Poland.
Well, I'm
not exactly sure what that's for, though.
Yeah, I can't understand that. I didn't see anything there either, but anyway, the referee has, so they've got another set of 6.
Well, if it's a double movement, surely it goes against Poland, and that seemed to be the hand signal that he provided there, as if it almost was a double movement. Well, I certainly didn't see a second effort in the defending.
Well, I'm not sure if it was a signal for a double movement or markers not square.
Asachka comes across the left-hand side of the field, a little wrap around Meta Ungaro, and they'll find some space in the corner too, and I think he's got it down. A nice dive in the end from McKighton, and the referee does point to the spot. He gets his second try, Dave.
Yeah, well done, and it was a nice play out the left. Young Spence is claiming forward pass again, but that seems to be the go-to call for them at the moment, but that one looked okay.
So that'll take the score out to 38 points to 6. Just over 22 minutes left in this one. They'll have a kick to come from the sideline, but the last attempt from this area was successful from Niscott, so he has had his kicking boots on today.
Well, he should have been kicking from the start.
They let 6 points go begging, of course, with Sajka, the previous kicker, not too successful in his attempts, but he's had a very strong game, the halfback, otherwise.
Oh, he has. He's a class above this level. As we've discussed before, he's got NRL experience and went through a very, very strong junior nursery. So at this level, he's and still playing at a very high level too, mind you. So he's just too good for the Hong Kong side, and which is probably what they're lacking. And no disrespect to their half, but they probably just lack a little bit of direction. When they've got the ball in decent field position, it's probably what's let them down. So, but they're things that they'll learn from.
Well, you mentioned coming from a strong nursery. Of course, we are in the Panthers' heartland at the moment, and Sajka did play for the Penrith Panthers in the NRL. We're out here at St Mary's Stadium as Niscott takes this kick from about a metre in from the left-hand touchline. That one is a pretty good one too. In fact, it'll go over. So, sharp shooting from Niscott. He's got yet another goal for them. Score is now 40 points to 6. James Preston with you here for Bar TV Sports, alongside Dave Wall from Country Rugby League. Wonderful occasion today. We've had some fantastic guests during the broadcast so far. Frankie Pritchard. Also, we had Francisco Gaspani from Argentina. It was a real treat to see just what is happening on the other side of the globe. It's very interesting just to see where rugby league is popping up around the world, isn't it, Dave?
Well, it is, and you know, as we keep hearing during the course of the day, that the numbers are growing in all these places, which is fantastic. You know, we've got players from all over the world playing in this particular tournament, and I know that it's been commented on that there are some Australian residents playing in most, if not all, of the respective teams, but there's the vast majority of them are international players, and that's wonderful to see.
Of course, there's roughly 80% of the players in this Hong Kong side are from their domestic competition, so it's awesome to see that they've made the trip over here to St Mary's, all the way from, well, near China. We can't say China directly, we can say Hong Kong though, and they'll play the ball just over the 40-metre line here as Maslanka comes away with it. That's Michael Maslanka, of course. His brother's already got a double today. He will play this one just over the halfway line into enemy territory. There seemed to be a little fumble picking the ball up. They'll say that, in fact, it's been rolled through the legs, so that one has gone again. So that's the first time I've seen that here at St Mary's Stadium.
Well, I've got to say, I didn't really see a penalty there, although I wasn't looking specifically for it. But anyway, I'm sure the Hong Kong side will take it quite happily as McMurray takes a pretty decent kick for touch.
That's a very good point. I'm sure you can find just about anything when you are specifically looking for it, can't you?
Well, I guess so.
Now, fine touch here, roughly 25 metres, 30 metres out from the Polish line. The McMurray to tap it and get us back underway. Ryan is looking for a hit up here, and we'll see if it goes to him.
Well, I'm not sure who their go-to man is now that War's off the field. We'll see what they've got. They're spread out to the right, although their centre and winger are very, very shallow, so I'm not too sure the ball's going to go too far. But
come away here through the number 14. That's Jack Nielsen. He'll work it away. Potentially it's a big bopper that they can use for a barge over. They've got a couple on the field now, with both Ryan and Nielsen out there. McMurray decides to take a little dart from dummy half. And he's caught roughly 10 metres out. Spencer's very flat on this left-hand side, as is the rest of his support players. A nice little dummy and step back off the left foot. He beat Mosby, then was crunched 5 metres short of line. It's a slow play the ball because he was hit hard. They'll try and do another barge over attempt here with Lindsay. He's picked up and smashed on his back. That'll be the last tackle. Spence wrapping around the short side once again. Won't go to him. McMurray puts in a pretty poor kick, really. Wasn't a great deal of thought or strategy behind that one, Dave.
Well, there was no one chasing, him included. So I'm not really sure what he expected there, but in any case, it was a pretty... Well, they've got the ball back here.
Lush has dropped it here, 10 metres out, and Lung picks it up. So Ringo Lung, the man with the best name in rugby league, he's caught around 15 metres out. Spence waits at dummy half. Nearly a fumble from dummy half, as is the fumble almost there from Saint, who hasn't had a high involvement in this match so far. Spence will wait a dummy half. They've got a man charging onto the ball. He really wanted it too, but Spence has dropped it in the act of trying to get it away.
Yeah, and a slow play the ball. I'm not sure who it was, but I think he was looking to argue with the Polish player rather than play the ball. And whilst Spencer's not gone, and he really should have picked it up, but it was made as difficult as it possibly could be for him.
And he certainly had an eager runner storming through as Lindsay, who was looking to barge over the line. If he got the ball, you'd probably back him in from there based on the pace he had.
Well, yeah, he did have a run of a similar nature in the last set of 6 though, and got absolutely smashed. So,
so you never know what could quite happen. Poland win the scrum here, and they'll look to get a nice little offload away. They do exactly that. It's good cover tackle in the end though from the number 13. It pops up into the hands here of Sang. He was nearly away. Used some soccer skills, and up it popped into the hands, and he had a clear run to the line, but an ankle tap stopped him. McMurrich goes for another barge over. He's already scored 1 try in that fashion. He'll be caught now.
I saw that one coming, but they're spread to the left here, Hong Kong. They really need to get it out.
They've got a stack of numbers, and there's very, very thin defence out there from Poland, but once again, they've ignored the opportunity. They just keep trying for the barge over. Where is Spence? And in the end, they'll be held up, so that'll allow them just to reset the defensive line. That is an opportunity gone begging.
Absolutely. There's probably 2 or 3 plays there that they should have scored on. Unlucky not to score in the first place. An ankle tap, which I think the player who was ankle tapped might be still down in the end goal. So I'm not sure what's wrong with him. But, really should have scored there, Hong Kong.
And, of course, they can't get back underway until Sang either gets off the field or he gets onside. So if he's just going to sit there in the end goal, we could be in for a very long afternoon, Dave.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's too injured. I'm not sure if it's cramp or he's getting up now, but he's making his way back onto the field. So play will restart momentarily.
Well, for a moment there, I thought he was going to stop in the Polish line. It looked like he was getting set to make a tackle on one of his teammates, but he's back here now.
He'd prefer to play with them, maybe, especially at 40-6.
We'll see if he can get across the line on this occasion. He was stopped just short a moment ago. Ryan gets the ball. Lung out the back here, and they'll bring it away to Yip. Yip steps it back off the left foot. They've still got numbers spread here to the left. There is an opportunity if they're quick enough. It's a very slow play, the ball, though. And now they've got a flat attacking line, and Ryan is met by a couple of defenders, and in the end, he's pretty easy taking. Spence at dummy half, working it away. McMurray steps off the right. He's been busy since he's come back on the field. He'll be caught around about 5 metres short of the try line. Once again, it looks like he's arguing with the referee. He wants to be careful. He's already been simmed in once. Lindsay, that is a silly play, really, on the last tackle. They had options both sides of the play the ball, and he didn't seem to know what to do with it except for trying to dive himself.
Well, everything that he should have done was, of all the options that he had, the one that he did was the worst. And again, an opportunity goes begging for Hong Kong. They were spread to the right, and I think Poland had 3 defenders to Hong Kong's 6 or 7. So how they didn't score is beyond me, but you can't score if you don't pass to the right positions.
Both sides are looking pretty tight at this point in time, and there obviously is a bit of space beginning to open up just because we're getting both sides clustering together toward the middle of the field. You can just see Poland at the moment. They are really bunched. You can pretty much throw a nice big picnic blanket across the top of them. There's a couple of defenders that come in for a second effort here on Mosby, but he's still going. He's so hard to put to ground. In the end, Lindsay does the job just on the 30-metre line. They've got numbers to the right-hand side of the field. They'll come that way through Sajka, who's looking for another 40-20. He's already kicked 1 today. Sang is back there at fullback. He'll pick up the ball. So in the absence of war, he stepped into the custodian role, and he's smashed in that tackle. That is a good shot in the end. And he's even requesting change over there, the knock-on, but not happening for McKaiden. Now work it away out of dummy half. Sang goes down once again, so whatever is wrong with Sang, it is plaguing him throughout this set and the last. Here is Lung.
Looks like it's cramp, and he's still got 13 minutes to go, so he really needs to hang on, maybe stick out on this wing for a couple of plays and just get a bit of air in the lungs, give the legs a bit of a stretch.
Well, if he needs a bit of air in the lung, he can go talk to his 5/8 because, of course, they do have a lung out there on the field. They've also just managed to spray him with, I think it's some sort of ice gel at the moment, so they're just working on his calf as Hong Kong find the touchline, and that's probably what they need at this point in time, just to get a bit of a breather here and try and get themselves with 13 players back in the defensive line. This has got to be one of the most interesting interchanges I think I've ever seen. So we're seeing Sang, the little winger, coming off for the big prop, Toby Lay.
Yep, that's, I'd say, the second smallest player on the field, replaced by the largest.
Here's Toby Lay making his way onto the field. Geez, I hope he's going to play fullback. That would just absolutely make my day.
Yeah, well, if I'm a betting man, and I did have a bet in the last game, I'm against you.
I think I'll have to take your bet as well. I'll go against my initial idea, even though I would love to see it. They'll win the scrum here, Poland. And they'll come away about 25 metres out from their own line, although they'll struggle just short here of the 30-metre line. Here's McKaiden, who is slipping over and then is caught pretty easily. Not seen by the referee, so that'll be play on. As Maslanka brings it away and then back toward the centre of the field. They'll pick up Sajka. Can he get the ball away? He does. He does a fantastic job in the end. It's McKaiden once again getting the ball here. They'll end up wrapping up, although he got the arm free for just a moment. They have got quite a few offloads in this second half. And one man that certainly can offload is the one who is looking to get the next hit up, but they won't go the way of Usher. Instead, they'll go to Meta Ungaro. That could have been a Shepherd, and it is indeed. So just ping there as both sides begin to slow down just a little bit here. Heavy conditions. It's a very heavy track with all the rain that we've had.
Yeah, the ground's held up pretty well. The rain looks like it's eased off quite a bit, but it was very, very heavy there an hour or two ago. The ground's certainly chopped up more than what it was at the start of the day, but by and large it's held up pretty well.
And of course we do still have another match to come, so it's going to get pretty wet out there indeed. Hong Kong will tap it through McMurrich. They'll go for a little hit up here and keep pushing forward. They'll get an offload away too. Here is McMurrich getting away from another tackler. He's caught 10 metres out. He's been very busy, McMurrich, in this match despite the sin binning. Spence brings it away to Ryan. Ryan nearly got away from another one. He had supporters or runners in support out to his left, and they'll stop play once again here. Not exactly sure what this is for.
Yeah, I'm not sure McMurrich didn't throw a punch there. It certainly appeared from here as though he did. The referee looks as though he's calling him out. He might be in some strife.
He's gotten himself in some strife a couple of occasions today. I'll have a chat with Captain Lung and also McMurrich. Let's see if we can get some of the referee's audio as well. I'm not sure if he is mic'd up, but he has been sent, McMurrich. We don't need much more information than that. Off he goes. It's a bit of a sneaky punch in there, Dave.
Well, I think we'll have a look at the replay, and I wasn't sure whether I picked it up, but our producers to our left certainly thought that he threw one, and so did the referee, and now he's been sent. That's 21 minutes he's left his teammates a man short, and twice he's given away possession with the ball.
Unfortunately, my view was obscured by there's this one pole directly in front of me where McMurrich was on the ground, and that's exactly where that occurred. So I haven't seen it. Thankfully, we do have our producers here for Bar TV Sports and yourself, Dave, but they've given away possession in a very good position here. And 40 points to 6. I would have liked to have potentially put on another try, but instead McMurrich has not only been sin-binned in this match, but he's now been sent off, so he really hasn't dealt with his emotions very well whatsoever. They'll take a tap once they find the mark, and Usher will hit it up for them.
And you have to say, it really made up for that indiscretion in the first half. He'd had a pretty good 25 minutes or so in the second, and it's a bit of a brain explosion, but that happens, I suppose.
Well, he's looked the most likely to score for them outside of War, and he also has got across the line himself. Yeah. So, you know, it is a really silly play from him. Nonetheless, here is Sajka, who will link up with another support runner there. That was the number 16.
Well, they're in all sorts of trouble to the left here if they go that way.
And they might indeed do so. They were trying to get it across there. Didn't quite go quickly enough. It's Belensinki, and he's caught around about 25 metres out from the Hong Kong line. Sajka, and they're now all covered in mud. Just noticing the jerseys, they've really begun to get quite dirty. Great offload from Usher. Sajka links up with Maslanka. Maslanka for the corner! Maslanka, a great finish. And he can add his name to the Maslanka try-scoring list. His brother Simon's already got 2, and now Michael Maslanka, he adds his name to the scoring list.
Yeah, he's had a pretty reasonable game, the winger out on this right side. I have to say that the fullback for Hong Kong, Reece Johnson, didn't look overly enthusiastic on making the tackle, which I think was infinitely makeable. But anyway, at 40-6 with 10 minutes to go, you're down to 12 men. Do you really want to risk an injury? Bearing in mind you've still got some games to play in the tournament.
Well, it almost seemed as if he thought that no matter what would happen on that occasion, Maslanka would step back into the middle of the field off the right foot, because he was just waiting, and then by the time that he actually put down the ball, that's when he decided to go for it.
Well, you could be right, but I thought he certainly had a better play than what he made. But as I said, at 40-6, enthusiasm levels probably to save tries like that maybe not be the same as what they were after 1 minute and 0-all.
Score is 44 points to 6. Poland leading Hong Kong. Around about 9 minutes left in this one as Niscott lines it up from 25 metres out. About half a metre in from touch. And of course, don't go anywhere because after this match, live here from St Mary's Stadium, all thanks to Bar TV Sports, Hungary will take on Vanuatu. That promises to be another juicy encounter as Niscott, who has had the kicking boots on today, looks to slot another one from the sideline. Strikes it pretty well, but it'll fade across to the left-hand side of the post, and the score will remain at 44 points to 6. Now, Dave, you've been on for a couple of matches so far. You're going to stick around for yet another one?
No, I think I've been replaced for Game 3, which...
You got the tap?
Yeah, I think I've got the tap, which I can't say I'm too unhappy about, but... Not that I in any way don't enjoy doing it, but yeah, my illustrious boss has said your services will no longer be required for Game 4.
You've been made redundant. Where's your payout?
Well, I don't get paid, so it's hard to get a payout when you don't get paid.
Let's give you some sausage rolls or something, please. Feed the man, he's hungry.
Well, there's some hot chips when you need them.
Well, Hong Kong will look to get us back underway here as Dave has his stomach growling. I can hear it coming through my headphones. He doesn't even need the microphone down near the stomach. It's up near his mouth, and it's coming all the way up through. It's like a gurgler.
I did notice St Mary's McDonald's is just outside the stadium and might be getting a visit fairly shortly.
Well, hey, free plug for Macca's, right, as Usher picks up the ball and he goes straight through the centre of them and nearly splits them. He's caught about 25 metres out, still looking to get the offload away. He does love getting an offload. And they'll say play on here. Initially, I thought the referee was going to pull up something, and there is a very simple break. Straight through the middle he goes. He's going to round the fullback as well. Can he put the foot down and keep going? Good tackle in the end. I think that might have been Johnson who got him. Plenty of place thrown from Balansinki, though. They've still got a chance to score. Meta Ungaro, he'll step off the left. The whole defensive line is retreating, and in the end, he slides in from about 5 metres away. That should end up bringing up their half century, because he's just 2 metres to the left of the post, and it is the second try for the 5'8", Jonah Meta Ungaro.
Well, it was one play after when it should have been. Balansinki made the break and had his 5'8" unmarked on the inside and decided to get a bit of white line fever and have a crack himself. He didn't quite make it, but justice was served the next play with the same player scoring just to the left of the post.
Potentially he was suffering from the symptoms of shock, because I don't think he could believe that he went straight through pretty much untouched. It almost seemed, I don't think anyone was called out either. It just seemed as if they didn't track across.
I think you're right. I think the Hong Kong side have had enough, and I'd be fairly certain in saying that he was untouched. He might have been one of those players that doesn't make a break very often and really didn't know what to do.
It all worked out pretty well for them in the end. Meta Ungaro went in for his second try. It's now 48 points to 6. This kick just to the left-hand side of the uprights. Niscott should have no trouble with it to turn this one into a half-century scoreline. Of course, Turkey did the same thing in their previous match. 56 points to 0 over Japan. It was a big, big win. This one is shaping up to be much the same here for Poland over Hong Kong. And, of course, straight after this match, we do have Hungary and Vanuatu. So stick around here on Bar TV Sports. We've got all the action for the Emerging Nations Rugby League World Championship.
Yeah, and having called both this game and the last one, it'd be an interesting game between Turkey and Poland. They're very similar styles, big sides, with a decent set of halves in both occasions. I think the halves that we're seeing now have probably got the edge, but then again, I think the forwards of the Turkish side are probably a little stronger than Poland, so I think it'd be a really good matchup. I'm not sure where they sit on the draw and whether that's likely to happen, but let's hope it does at some point.
Well, this match is, of course, part of Pool C, and I'll just have a little flick through the booklet here as Hong Kong look to get us back underway, and hopefully I can find the right page as well. Just having a look at the draw coming up. So that match between Hungary and Vanuatu, that is in Pool B, and in terms of the previous match, that was another Pool C one, so we should actually see Turkey taking on Poland. And that should be an excellent matchup. Here is Usher bringing the ball back. 5 minutes left in this one, and he's caught 15 metres out. They play at centre of the field. They've taken off their hooker, and they've put Makaiden into the dummy half roll, and that explains why he has been a lot more prevalent in the last probably 10 minutes or so. That's a very poor pass from him, though. I've just given him the commentator's curse, Dave, as they work it away here with Sajka, who can find just a bit of a gap. He links up with another support player. He thought about the kick, decided instead to bump off a defender. Now goes away to Maslanka. Maslanka links up with his brother, and can he get away? Spence for the corner, trying to tackle him. But they'll go in once again. It's a second try to Michael Maslanka, and that now makes 4 for the tally for the Maslanka family today.
Yeah, brother to brother there. I didn't think the winger was particularly well positioned there. That passed it forward to me, that last one, but touch judge was in a reasonably good position, and as wave play on, so they've got to 54-6 it is now, with just under 4 minutes to play and the kick to come. Let's see what Niscott can do with this one. He'll be kicking from a very similar spot to what he did the last one, which he sprayed to the left.
It's brilliant stuff as well from Sajka, just to stay alive in the tackle, and then awesome support play from Karachvik, who's had a really strong game himself. He's already scored 2 tries. He probably had visions of a hat-trick there from halfway, the big second row.
Well, he showed a really good turn of speed, and I thought he was going to take the fullback on. In the end he passed, but well, he was probably in a better position to take him on than a few moments ago when we saw the same thing happen.
Here is Niscott lining this one up from about 20 centimetres in from the right touchline. Literally the exact same position that he sprayed that one, as you mentioned, Dave, just across the left-hand side of the uprights around about 2 minutes ago. And he's starting to get a little bit ugly on the scoreboard here. 54 points to 6 if he gets this one. Go to 56 and the margin will be half a century. Niscott lining it up. I can hear just to the left of me, producer suggesting he's going to force this one wide. He's kicked it reasonably well, though. It looks to be curving back around. He's got it. So Niscott 1, producer 0.
Yeah, terrific kick, and he bar the last one, or the one before that, I should say. Then he's kicked very well. The Maitland pumpkin picker.
Pumpkin picker.
He's a Maitland pumpkin picker.
Very nice. Well, I mean, it is spring. It's probably harvest season, isn't it, for pumpkins?
Well, I'm not sure with the drought at the moment, but yeah, he plays up that way. They had a good year, Maitland. Finished 4th from recollection. I think they bowed out in week 1 of the semis, but it was a terrific game, terrific competition up that in the Newcastle Rugby League. Very, very close.
And Hong Kong will get us back underway here. Just over 2 minutes left on the clock as Usher, once again, who's had a fantastic match, bumps off Ryan. That's a nice big hit up. We've seen him use more of his finesse with his offloading skills, but on that occasion, it was brute force. He is caught 30 metres out. McKaiden comes back to the middle of the field. Sajka, he has torn them to shreds in this second half. He nearly gets away once again. McKaiden was coming through and was whacked off the ball. He's not too happy about it. I don't know exactly why that's being called as a stop of play here. Either blow the penalty or let him play the ball.
I don't think he has blown a penalty, or has he? Or
no, he's just saying, let's go back to the mark. I don't think he'd moved off the mark, but nonetheless, they'll get the markers to come back. Everyone will start again. It's almost like doing a scrum for the 17th time. They'll come away to Meta Ungaro, stepping off his left foot, then puts out the left palm twice and nearly gets away from 3 of them. In fact, he does. McKaiden is back through the middle. Can he get away, the little winger turned hooker? He's caught in the middle of the field. Once again, I'm hearing something from the referee here, but it'll be play on. Meta Ungaro on the left-hand side. He puts it back onto the middle. Once again, he's away, and that will be the hat-trick indeed there for Karachvik. Too good. Karachvik goes in once again. 56 becomes 60. It is a big score now, literally 10 times the points that Hong Kong have been able to produce. And it's a very deserved hat-trick as well, Dave. He's been fantastic with both his lines and his support play today.
Yeah, he has been. And those in the early stage of the first half, when the game was still somewhat in the balance, he was running those lines, which caused Hong Kong all sorts of dramas. And he scored 2 tries off it. Could easily have scored a couple more. And now he's got another one to make it 3.
It's a great way to finish for him. And I'll tell you what, we were talking about Ringo Lung as potentially having the best name. I think he's going to give them a bit of a run for money here. His first name is Chippy. Is that not fantastic?
Well, I wasn't sure when I wrote the names down prior to the game whether they weren't geeing me up when they told me that, but apparently it is. And good luck to him.
I thought you were going to jump on that, given that we're both a bit hungry now. You know, chips are floating around in the air.
I missed that. I think I'm delusional. I'm so hungry, so I missed that one.
Hello. Look. We're just in front of the bar. We'll get you some sausage rolls. It's all right. Oh, well, here is Niscott lining this one up with literally 1 second on the clock. 60 points to 6, and now 62 points to 6. Dave, just before we wrap it all up here, who is your pick for man of the match?
Oh, well, there's some contenders. I probably can't go past the 11.
He's been fantastic, Chippy. He is our boy. Chippy Korovchik. That is all we have here for you in terms of this match. Live from St Mary's Stadium, Bar TV Sports. James Preston alongside Dave Wall. The final score, 62 points to 6. Poland, a very dominant performance over Hong Kong.